Behind the mask.
Two, what's happening, boy?
What's good, family? Another day in paradise. You know what it is.
Absolutely, man. We in the lounge again.
Yes, indeed.
And we got a conversation today, man. But before we get into this conversation, want to make sure we have a call to action to all of our followers, everybody who's been supporting us. Make sure you subscribe, share, and click the little notification button that you see on the screen because you don't want to miss what we're talking about. And look, we love the feedback, so make sure you interact with us so possibly we can go back and bring some of the questions in, man, so we can share the wealth and share the knowledge.
Facts. You never know when your question might get asked on the podcast. So make sure you leave them comments. Let's get it, brother.
Let's get it, man. And so we got a few questions that are powered by our friends at Essentially Sports. And we don't jump right into it and we don't talk about leadership, bro.
Yes, sir.
Leadership is really at the heart of success, whether on the football field, in business, or in everyday life, too. As former players, we've both experienced high-stake moments that required resilience, teamwork, and the ability to inspire others. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the leadership lessons that we both learned from the game and how they are applicable on the field, offering insights that anybody can take away and also make them relatable to their everyday life, including business.
Facts. And the main thing, like you talked about, as much as leadership is important on the field, it's similar off the field. So a lot of times people are way more similar to us than they believe. You know what I mean? Yeah, we might be the dominant athletes and all of that, but when it comes down to it, we all cut the same. You know what I'm saying? We bleed the same. The mental obstacles that we overcome are the same. The things that we deal with in everyday life are the same. And taking those lessons from leadership that we learned on the football field are applicable to everyday life. So with that being said, you're talking about leadership, man. And a little pat on your back for yourself. 13 out of the 15 years you were in the NFL, you were a team captain, bro.
Facts.
Salute. I ain't never been a team captain. Well, basketball, that don't count in high school. It count for me, yo. Shout out to August.
It still count, dog. What you talking about?
But listen, what's the most important leadership lesson that you learned during your time in the NFL? And how have you applied that to life after football, man?
For me, it goes back to a quote. I remember reading this. It used to be one of my favorite fast food restaurants when I used to dive and indulge into it. From Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. The quality of a leader is reflected in the standards they set for themselves. And ultimately, it goes down to like leaders lead and followers follow. And I think both are essential when you talk about, what leadership lessons that you learn. For me, I started off with that, but the biggest lessons that I really took from it was, it's a three-step thing, being able to diagnose the situation, see what's at hand, understand what you're presented with, and then once you see that there's a gap of need, now how can I create a plan to fill that gap of need, which is very important. And then probably the most important thing out of the first two that I just mentioned is execute that plan with a Hawkeye focus. And for me, I'm infatuated with nature. I love bears. I'm Instagram. I'm scrolling late at night looking at how cheetahs be jumping in and leopards and all this stuff jumping in, eating alligators. But a Hawkeye focus means, bro, you can see something from miles away. And I don't care what is presented in front of you. You got the blinders on and you're going to attack the objectives of what you see in order to fill that gap of need, in order to get what you want. And so for me, I think that's been the biggest thing when it comes to the leadership lessons and how I've made it applicable outside of the game, just taking those three steps and then just keep staying focused. Because ultimately, I don't care what you do, what trade that you're in, you're gonna be presented with We call it when life be lifing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can you keep that steadfast focus, keep moving forward, and understand this is what I got to do in a short time period, and I'm not going to allow anything to distract me.
Facts, facts. Let me ask you this though. So again, the 13 out of 15 years being a team captain, that's incredible. And those 2 years that you weren't a team captain, did you feel like your role changed with that team as it did with the other 13 years when you were a team captain?
So the 2 years that I wasn't was the first year that I went to first year I got drafted in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
And the second time was the first year that I went with the San Francisco 49ers.
Mhm.
I came into camp late. I won't say a holdout, but I was waiting for the perfect situation.
Facts.
So do I feel like my role had changed? Going back to my rookie year, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect because not only do you want to come in and, for me in my head, I was thinking, oh, I don't want to come in and nobody wants to be titled as a bust.
Facts.
Being the 13th pick, first round draft pick, I was like, okay, I got to come in and learn what I have to do. But I also wanted to leave my mark and make my mark. So I found myself, I wouldn't say so much being passive, but it was just understanding what I had to do as a professional. And as once the week starts to accumulate, week 1, week 3, you get to 5. By the time you get to 6, I realized, man, all this shit I learned in training camp, like do you really have to know it going into the season? Yeah, you do, but you don't have to carry it with you because every week is game plan by game plan. So for me, I started to assert myself more once I understood what was presented in front of me. But I had to make sure I understood everything that I needed to know in order to not only be accountable, but to hold somebody else accountable.
Facts, right. Well, like I said, bro, I ain't this ain't a hype up Takeo day. You don't get the big head or nothing, but that's major again because so many you have players that play for a long time in the NFL, but very few can actually say, damn near each year that I've done it, my teammates voted me to be a leader of this team. So again, salute, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. And I know for me, I never set out for it to be that way.
Mm.
I just knew what I wanted and it was high. So, it was just like set the standard and then you just kind of figure it out and you just go. Find somebody who's doing it right. I'm going to take what you're doing, what I like, and then I'm going to add my spin to it.
Yeah.
And to me, essentially, that's leadership. And we know leadership comes in different forms. It emerges both on and off the field. But can you share, maybe if you have a specific time to where when you had to lead by example and it wasn't like your official role, you wasn't titled to be that?
Yeah, it's a couple times, man. And like I said, I was never a team captain in the NFL, but I think when you think of particularly back when we played, when you think of an NFL player, right? It's so much of that grind, that 17-week season back then of the routine in and out. We knew what it was on Tuesday was the off day, Wednesday was the install. You go in there, you do, your first down, second down. Thursday you do your third down fringe. Friday goal line.
Right.
Saturday walkthrough. Sunday game. Monday watch it was just so, in my opinion, redundant, right? So you had to have something to break it up. So to your point, leadership can come in many forms on the field and off the field. So while I wasn't a captain on the field, off the field, your boy was a captain. I was a leader. You know what I'm saying? So I would find different things to do to keep that camaraderie together. Because during the football season, everybody leaves practice and you got some guys that they put their track shoes on and get the hell up out of there. Some guys that stay hours after, watch film like we did. But then everybody goes back to their lives, their family, right? So you really rarely have time to really get more close-knit without it being in a business sense. So Fridays we would do the tour of the city. We would go around, grab lunch, hit the establishment, see what's going on, or we would get lunch and then go over somebody's crib and just watch gangster movies, play cards, just chill, something to do. 24 hours to live. You know what I'm saying? Something in a safe
So
space.
that's where that was birthed and born.
Yes, man. It's like a safe space to be like, yo, you know what? Even though we going through this right now, we still can maintain that work-life balance as professional athletes. So yeah, we spending 10 hours a day at work or whatever. We supposed to. We getting paid handsomely for it.
Right.
But sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? I need a drink. I need to chill with my homie. Or I need to, decompress a little bit. So I think for me, that's where part of my leadership came. And then on the field, it was something simple as I remember Mike Wall. He was an offensive lineman with the Panthers with me, and we used to do things to increase our stamina because in the fourth quarter, if it's a close game, y'all gonna be blitzing. The defense gonna be blitzing all day. 2-minute drill. We got to score. So
especially if your quarterback trash.
If your quarterback trash, that's a whole fact. We ain't gonna call no names, but but we had to have the stamina there to be able to compete in the fourth quarter, just like you were in the first quarter when you were fresh.
Right.
So we did the sprints after practice, and Mike Wall did that with us in Carolina, led that. So when I came to Buffalo after that, that's what I did with the offensive linemen. And they didn't want to do it all the time until they realized, you know what, I'm in better shape now. 10 weeks in the season, 6 weeks in the season, whatever that might be, because I'm doing extra when you're not supposed to do extra.
Right.
Led that in Jacksonville too. It's just stuff that you do to actually let guys know, like, yeah, this is for real. And at that time, in Jacksonville, I was a backup. I started a little bit, but I was primarily a backup. Buffalo, I got injured, so I was out half of the season. But still, when I got back, it's like, all right, yeah, let's get this extra work in because you never know when you're gonna need it. So
yeah. And you talked about Mike Wall, but when I look at the game of football, it teaches, to me, I think it's the epitome of teamwork.
Facts.
And because of that, every player that I've dealt with, I always ask them this question. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to have a great teammate? What exactly does that mean to you? And how does it translate to other areas of your life? Because I think it really shows how important a teammate is.
Yeah, I think.
So I'm asking you that.
You know what? I think to be a great teammate, the first thing is to be accountable, right? Offensive linemen, we these 5 players, like your hand, right? Left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle.
Great analogy.
We here, you know what I'm saying? And together, we can strike a mighty blow. You know what I'm saying? But like you as an offensive lineman, I think is the most selfless position in the NFL, right? In football, for that matter. Offensive linemen only get accolades at the end of the season.
True.
Right? Pro Bowl, All-Pro, or at the end of your career when you're All-Decade or Hall of Fame. So defensive guys, y'all get sacks, y'all get tackles, y'all get interceptions, y'all get touchdowns. Offensive guys get touchdowns, 1,000-yard rushing, 1,000-yard receiving, 1,000-yard. All these accolades come, but offensive linemen, we sit there and we have to be a team player. We have to do what's in the betterment of the team to have that success. At the end of the day, the game don't start on offense until the center snaps the ball. We know that. Is that a stat? No. Can we brag on that? No. We go out there, we do our job, we don't get the pats on the back. You know what I'm saying? So for me, being a team player is that same mindset that we have as offensive linemen. And I remember 2 coaches at 2 different times in my career said this. Jack Henry, who was my offensive line coach with the Saints when I got drafted. And then later on, Mike Tice, my guy, said this when I was with the Jaguars, like year 8 in the league. When offensive linemen play, right, we can have the best game one week, and then the next game give up, let's say 3 or 4 sacks. That's a bad game for offensive line. You know what's going to be in the paper, social media.
Horrible game.
That's a horrible game, right?
Yeah.
But you don't think that, damn, maybe the quarterback scrambled out when he shouldn't have scrambled out. You don't think, damn, the running back missed the block or the tight end got whooped by the defensive end. You don't think the scheme is messed up or the quarterback had to take a knee. You don't think. All you see in the headlines is 4 or 5 sacks, whatever that might be, right?
Right.
So the next day, when we would come to, on Mondays when we come to watch film, they would say, well, man, shit rolls downhill.
Gotta take it.
When you think of the analogy, yeah, shit rolls downhill. Like you put, if shit going bad, you put it on the hill, it's gonna roll down. Who's at the bottom of the hill? The big fellas, the grunt work, you know what I'm saying? The offensive lineman. So we had to take that mindset. Even if you get, the quarterback has the worst game, they're gonna blame it on the offensive line, some way, somehow. We take that. But as a team player, we like, yo, shrug that off, make sure we're doing our best to get better next week and come out with the mindset of improvement. So to me, that's that mindset of an awesome offensive lineman is what a team player is.
Yeah, and I think the same thing applies too for even the guys on the defensive side. Like looking at a game the other day, this team offensive line gave up a bare minimum of sacks the entire year, maybe 6, but they gave up 5 in this one game.
Yeah.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's like, is it fair? No, it's not fair, but it's the reality of it.
I feel you. It's a reality, man. You said shit rolls downhill, but it is what it is. But let me ask you this, bro. In high-pressure situations, leaders are expected to rise to the occasion, stay calm under pressure, and make sure they continue to lead their team, their business, their offense, defense in a proper manner. Share a moment when you had to rise to that challenge, when the pressure was on, and you still had to overcome that.
I got a few moments.
That many?
It is a few. I think about the moment when I was with Cincinnati, playing against the Ravens. I also think about this moment when I went to Buffalo, playing against the Dolphins, and we were going through a bad streak, and we just needed a spark. We needed something to happen. But I probably would go stick with another moment when I was with Buffalo, and it was the first year of me coming back to play Cincinnati after I left Cincinnati from the prior year. And, you know, it was a tough game. All offense, we were struggling, and we needed a spark. And lo and behold, bro, Cincinnati was driving. They was picking up momentum. John Kitna was buying time and dropping dimes to TJ, Chad. I still remember going up against the big bro, Willie Anderson. I would purposely get in the game. Willie, talk to me. Look at me, Willie. Willie would tell everybody, don't talk to him. Don't say nothing. Because he knew I fed off of that.
Yeah.
If you say anything, I'm going to take it like, it don't matter if you just be like, what up? Oh, you telling me what up? So I kept poking the bear. They didn't give me nothing. But on this drive, I remember we had a blitz called, and I had the running back man to man. And Troy Vincent came around the corner. He was pressuring John Kitna, and he got all up in his face and threw his hands up. And I remember John just threw the ball because the last thing he saw was, I think it was Rudy. And I remember I just beeline, bro. Went up under the lineman, jumped in front of it, picked it off, took it back for a touchdown. And, you know, for me, took it back 50, 60 yards. Can't remember, but the older you get, the longer the yardage is. You know what I'm saying?
70 yards.
Yeah, I know it, right? I think it was 75 now. But for me, when we talk about like staying calm and focusing and having to be able to rise to that challenge, like, man, I embraced that. I embraced the pressure moments. Yeah. And I think about LeBron James. I think about like the ultimate Michael Jordan. I think about Kobe Bean, Bryant. Like all of these guys, like they are the epitome of like high pressure moments. And I saw it no other way. Yeah. And that was a time for me, it was like somebody got to make a play. But it also reminded me what we used to say at Auburn. A play don't care who make it.
Facts.
Somebody need to go out there and make it. Facts. And so for me, because I familiarized myself with the practice moments, visualizing things, doing it in practice over and over again, when I got in that moment, it wasn't I wasn't shocked. I've been there before. I saw it in my mind because I visualized it. And so for that moment, I picked that ball off and I knew nobody was going to catch me. Yeah. I think I had a lineman behind me. I think it was Eric Steinbach, the guard. Yeah. I was like, ain't no way in hell I'm going to let an offensive lineman catch me. But like, that's what it's about, man. You embrace those moments from a leadership standpoint because you know a play needs to be made. Yeah. And one thing you do know, a play don't care who makes it.
Facts.
A play just need to be made.
Facts. That's similar to what we say in offensive line, but we in either goal line, red zone situations or 2-minute situations. We in the huddle, the quarterback's in there, and
I know you got to have plenty of
Bro.
moments when it comes to.
Listen, we sitting there, we like, all right, somebody make a play now. It's like we get offensive line, we've gotten y'all to the damn 20. We had a 10, 11-yard drive. Yes, we tired. We don't get the sub in and out. So we're like, all right, some in the huddle, the quarterback's like, all right, Trish, right, somebody make a damn play now. You know, we like, get to it. So I distinctly remember this one because I've said it before on the show. It was 08. I was on Jacksonville Jaguars, and we played against Peyton Manning and the Colts in Indy. Back and forth game. Fred Taylor doing this thing, Maurice Jones-Drew doing this thing, and we get down. Indy scores with like a minute left and goes up by 1. Right? So now I'm a backup at this point in my career, 8th year in the league, or eighth, 9th year in the league, something like that. So I'm a backup, right? And I was on special teams. So end of the game, at this point, I'm a pass blocking specialist. I could pass block my ass off. Run block, I'm getting body wearing down, not as physical, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I'm sitting on the sideline. Right after kickoff return, I come out, TV timeout, you know, the last 40-something seconds. Mike Tice looking back at me. I told you the story. I'm looking at him like, what the hell are you looking at me for? You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, Tooch, ready? I was like, ready for what? He's like, ready to go in. I'm like, I haven't played the whole game except special teams, kickoff return. He's like, yeah, get in there. I was like, all right. So everybody on the sideline laughing.
Game on the line.
Game on the line.
Ready for what?
Because I didn't know. I'm like, what we talking about? Like, what's going on? You know, petty too. You know me. So I get out there. I'm like, all right. So everybody laughing, like literally laughing, like, yo, too, you got to perform, right? To your point, you got to be ready for this. But I know my mindset. You know, I'm cool, grace under pressure. Inside, heartbeat sound like Sasquatch feet. But outside, I'm stoic. You ain't gonna know it. Man, listen. Dwight Freeney, Hall of Famer. Raheem Brock.
Oh, he was coming.
Robert Mathis, future Hall of Famer. NASCAR package, Indy. You. Sir. Freeney this way, Brock this way, Mathis over here. Linebacker coming. The whole 40-something seconds left. We got to get in field goal position. So I'm sitting there just pass blocking, throwing people this way, you know, sliding, da-da-da-da. No pressures, no sacks, no nothing. We get down there, they commit a foul, penalty on 4th and 1. We get in field goal range, kick the field goal, win the game. So imagine being cold, coming off the sideline, cold, getting out there, performing, and doing your thing. Everybody, I get on, come back off the field for the field goal. I get to the sideline, everybody clapping up like, damn, he did it.
Right.
So I was like, no disrespect to the other offensive lineman that was ahead of me, but he wasn't as good of a pass blocker as I was. So that's where they came with the term nickel guard. So in pass block situation, I would come in on 3rd down or come in bring the nickel guard in. Just like y'all have a nickel back for 3rd down situations or when the extra wide receiver is out there, right?
We bring 5 DBs in.
Yeah, so now they was like, we know it's pass rush situation. Everybody in the stadium knows it, so put one of our better interior pass blocking linemen out there. And shit, that's kept me in the league a couple more years, man. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, just the mindset, the leadership, the grace under pressure, right? When everything is going on, those high pressure situations where you still have to perform. I think for me, that was definitely the one in my career.
What's a common misconception about leadership in the NFL? And like, how different is it when it comes to leadership in the real world?
I think the main thing, particularly when we played, leadership in the NFL is like, if it isn't loud, if somebody doesn't have a mouthpiece, or if it isn't seen by the outside, it's perceived as not being present.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, if you're not respect the Ray Lewis, one of the greatest middle, if not the greatest middle linebacker ever. He talks off the field, he talks on the field. You know him. He's a great leader as well. Mm-hmm. But he talks, so it's no question that he's a leader. But if you have another stellar linebacker or a stellar player in sports for that matter, that is more low key. If you have another linebacker or another athlete for that matter that is more low key on the field when it comes to their presence, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean that they're not a leader. That doesn't mean that they're not a leader. Because guess what? You spend way more time prepping for that game, for them 60 minutes that we play during the week. We talked about the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, during practice, during film study, during after practice, what you're doing, during the stuff off the field. So that can be your leadership aspect that the outside world doesn't see. And I look at when a few weeks ago, Stephen A had something to say about Kevin Durant. He said he had a lack of leadership. They asked him, would the Suns make a playoff run? He said, nah, not with Kevin Durant, because he hasn't shown his leadership. Right?
Even though Kevin Durant is he's a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, one of the best, if not the best offensive threat to ever play in the NBA. Won some championships already. Can't nobody stop him to this day. He's like 18 years in the league, right? But the man had the gall to say that he doesn't have leadership capabilities. Now, to me, I took it as offensive, because I'm like, okay, how can somebody that has not done what I've done tell me that I'm not something that I am? Right? So you've never stepped in my shoes. You've never been where I've been. You've never seen what I've done behind closed doors. All you see is what you see on the field, and maybe hear from a third party. You don't know what I'm telling my teammate, or how I'm calling them, texting them, say, hey, yo, bro, next time this situation happens, this is how we should handle it. Or, yo, let's go here, chop it up, have a team dinner, and talk about the issues that we might have, the adversity that we're going through. You don't see that. All you see is what you see through your eyes. You don't see the other, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
23 hours and 58 minutes of a day. You don't see that. So how you gonna call me out over something that you've never done and saying what I'm not doing? To me, I don't get that. And I think the difference in everyday life is that there's no CEO that is taking his company to become a Fortune 500 company, right? Equivalent to winning a championship.
Right.
Increase revenue, right? Had COOs, CMOs, et cetera, other executives to lead their company, be successful in their own right, or leave their company and still be successful as a leader. And then that CEO is still criticized for not being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that happened with Kobe before they were saying he couldn't get his other teammates in the game. That happened with Jordan, said he couldn't get his teammates better. KD, LeBron, everybody. Question their leadership. How you gonna question these players' leadership when they are some of the greatest players to ever do it and have won championships at the highest level? That ain't happenstance. They ain't sitting on the bench doing it.
That ain't by chance.
That ain't by chance, bro. So I think the difference is, in the everyday world, it's not polarized as much. It's not on TV, it's not on social media. You don't see every single step of the way, every single day, multiple times a day, multiple platforms to see, for you to form an opinion or for something you've never done. I think the major difference is, people don't see it, so when they don't see it, they don't believe it's a fact.
I think it's synonymous with each other. When you talk about leadership in the athletic world, whether or not NBA, NFL, and also in the executive room, when you look at whether or not CEOs move from different places, different organizations, at the end of the day, you're going to be judged by what you do, how you increase the revenue. In sport, you still increasing the bottom line by winning.
Facts.
But what can you do from a statistical standpoint to where you can note it and see, okay, wow, there's been an uptick in the numbers. But for me, bottom line, leadership is earned, it's never given.
Facts.
And that's applicable to a first round pick or a new executive coming in with strategy implementation.
Facts.
A misconception is, I remember arriving to a team and, just seeing the work ethic of other guys. And for me, I've always been driven to be the best. I'm going to be the best that I'm going to be. But you see some of these other dudes who, they are there before you, and you're like, okay, I got a front row seat. Let me see how you work.
Yeah.
We don't play the same position, but it's like, this dude here was a first round pick. He's the leader.
Yeah.
He's walking back to the huddle after he's pouting about somebody hitting. We thudding off, Thudding off means on the defensive side, for our viewers who don't know we ain't taking them to the ground, but boom, I just want to give you a little, let you know I was there.
Yeah, facts.
And you just, as a running back, you just gonna stop walking? Man, I don't respect this guy. Furthermore, I don't even respect the person who brought him in. Like, you should have done your research. So, for me, it's not earned. Leadership is earned. It's not given to anybody.
Yeah.
And the misconception of just because you come in with the title of a first round pick, I was first round 13 pick. For me, I was like, that ain't enough. I want you to know who I am, like, long time. And so in order for me to get that done, I knew it was certain parameters and marks that I had to hit in order to become that guy. And I was going to do it. If you was in the way, I was going to run over you until I get it done. Or if you were in the way on my team that who they anointed before I came here, then I was going to make you raise your level of play. You know, I was going to do that by having that conversation with you first. I think that's just the way that you do things versus talking in the, you know, how you got some people like to talk in the media, then the media come around and nah, be bigger than that.
What happened when you like, what?
Yeah, I'm going to go straight to the source. Now, after that, then we may have to go ahead and go to the media-wise and let everybody else know. Nobody likes to be ridiculed.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But that was my stance when it comes to understanding the misconception of leadership just because where you were picked up and the expectations when you arrive, that ain't gonna cut it. You got to show me every day. You got to prove yourself.
So you're talking about where you were picked up or where you were drafted, you know, you being the first round pick, but every team has stars and role players, right? So I guess how did you learn to bring out, being the leader that you were and the captain, how did you learn to bring out the best in your other teammates or players, regardless of their role, whether it be a star or a role player on the team?
It was important for me to remind everybody that not one role is bigger than anybody else's role on the team. I'll give you an example. When you look at scout team players, are they the ones that are playing on Sunday? No. They're getting the starters ready to play on Sunday. If you go out and give me a shitty look, I'm going to give you a shitty performance on Sunday.
Right.
So, therefore, they truly are the MVPs to get you ready. You know what I mean? So, when I talk about everybody has a role and not one is bigger than the other, but the most important thing is to know that the stars still got to shine. And when it comes to clutch time moments, understanding and knowing we need a play to be made, like, that's what it boils down to. Your stars got to shine. They got to shine in pressure moments and pretty much make everybody else raise their level of play, regardless of if you came in anointed as a high pick or if you didn't. And I think the other thing, which I found to be very beneficial, is to get to know the person. We spend so much time with players, your teammates throughout the season. You spend more time with your teammate than you actually do with your family.
Yeah, facts.
So once you get an opportunity or several opportunities to figure out who you are, where are you from, what makes you tick, now I know you. Now, when I come at you, it's not looked upon or frowned upon as me coming at you. I know you. Me and you sat down, we split a 12-pack together. We had a fifth.
Yeah.
We had a fifth of that hen dog. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't coming at you.
Yeah.
We gonna do the same thing we did last Tuesday on our day off. We gonna get hammered. We gonna talk about what we gonna do later that night. And then the next day we coming back to work.
Back to business. Yeah.
And so for me, it's about knowing the player. It's about knowing your colleague. It's about knowing what buttons that you can push. So now, when I do have to have a tough conversation with you, it's not frowned upon as, oh, you coming after me or you attacking me. Nah, we both like the same thing, but I'm just holding you accountable.
And I got the same goals. So.
And we got the same goals. So, like, what we talking about?
Right.
And guess what? It's no different than in relationships. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to address that. That's a whole nother episode. But maybe we'll bring on somebody one day who could talk about some relationships. But, like, that's at the bottom line, that's what it's about, man. Getting to know the person who you dealing with enough to know, like, man, this is out of love, bro.
Yeah.
This is nothing else. We both want the same thing. Let's talk about how can we get there.
Facts. And then you talking about getting to know the person and becoming like that tight-knit unit that has the same goals, same aspirations, et cetera. But with that, conflicts happen, bro. I think back to when we played, fights on the field. You see it all the time at training camp fights and everything. But how do you approach handling those disagreements and the things that happen on the field, in the locker room, in the game, but making sure that y'all learn from it, and then, you know, your everyday people in life can learn from it too?
Conflict.
Yeah.
Conflict is necessary. I'll say it again. Conflict is necessary. You need it. As much as we hate to say it, you need
See,
it.
I don't like conflict, but, you know. But
and this is what I say. I don't mind conflict. I don't like drama. Conflict is a moment in time to where you disagree, whatever. Drama is that shit just continues to keep going. Like, I look at TV for that. I ain't got time for that drama, man. But, you know, everybody, what you have to understand, everybody has an ego. Whether or not you in the business setting or you're in the locker room. Everybody has an ego that needs to be fed. And the most important thing is, it's okay for everybody's ego to be fed. But what can't happen is your ego can't override the big picture and goal of the entire thing. Andy Reid was one of my better coaches, probably the best coach I've ever had when it comes to tempering expectation. He was good at, like, what made Andy so good, bro? Like, he was so good at, like, 4 things, bro. He would come in at the beginning of the week, meet with the leadership council, kind of give you heads up, this is what I'm saying, what do you see? He'll take that back, and when he comes back to address the team, the first thing that you noticed was, number one, he had command of the room. Command of the room that was when he laid out a plan for everybody. He addressed the team. This is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna do it. Number 2, he had command of the message of when he talked to everybody on the team. He would have a plan for everybody, but for the stars, he would tell you, this is what I see, and this is how we're going to attack them. This is what I expect from you. This is how I expect for it to go. Why? Because this is what they like to do, their tendencies. So you already knew, clear cut. Then it came down to the command of the process. And the process was simply, this is how we're going to do it. When we go out at practice, this is the standard. I don't want nobody's shirt tail tucked out. And it's like, what the hell does that have to do with winning football games?
I wanted to make that because mine was, I had the 2XL tee with the stand over.
I remember. But that's Big Red.
Yeah, fact.
It was the command of the process, as far as this is how we're gonna do it and this is why we're going to do it. So it made sense. Even though it may not make sense, but you saw in clutch time situations, because it was a procedure thing, that how you went about doing your business, it translated over in practice. No different than business. And then the last thing was like command of self. Regardless of how high things may got or how low things may have gotten. Andy Reid curiosity about being great and how to get the best out of his players, and the creativity that he comes with, especially when you're inside of the red zone. He was gonna make sure he had command of self and make sure he stayed in the moment. And that's what separates Andy Reid when you look at all the different coaches in the National Football League.
I'm with you. I'm going.
I had you in there.
Are you happy? I'm like, damn, that speaks to his success and the leadership as a coach as well. You know what I'm saying? Because you have some coaches that you want to follow them as a player, right? You want to be like, what they say, buy all in, right?
Yeah. Be
all in and believe in the mission of the team, whatever that team identity, you want to do it. But sometimes, I mean, it's real life. Like, some coaches, you sit there and you're like, you're not leading by example, or you got this going on and it's not matching what you're preaching. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's why Big Red got all them championships, man. And
yeah, but it's a testimony to, he got the championship, but it's the conflict. You know, I think about when, you know, we go back to You need conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I think about when T.O. and Hugh, they got to fighting each other. You know, Andy Reid has had a lot of big personalities. I think about Shady McCoy. I think about Donovan McNabb. You know, like the quarterbacks, Michael Vick.
Even now, Pat.
Like even now, Pat Mahomes. You know what I mean? So he's such a special coach, bro.
Yeah.
Like I could sit here and talk days about him, but bottom line, you need conflict in order to get what you want. Because what happens is it's gonna bring out the true leadership essentials or characteristics in the guys who are anointed as the leaders, or then you'll find out about some of the guys who you never thought had leadership in them.
Yeah.
They gonna step up to the plate. And that's the beautiful thing. It's not drama, just conflict for the moment.
Yeah. And it's different ways of leadership. It's the vocal leaders, it's the rah-rah guys, it's some guys lead by example. You know what I mean? So, I mean, your years again, what kind of leader were you?
I was more so the guy that, I was a rah-rah guy.
And I know the answer, y'all.
I know. I was a rah-rah guy, but my leadership, my process was, okay, similar to what I mentioned earlier. I've always wanted to get an opportunity to know every teammate that I played with. I don't have to know everything. I just need to know enough. What's your why? What drives you? My leadership really started out was, okay, well, before I do anything, I have to lead by example. Because nobody is going to follow a locker room attorney or what we call a locker room lawyer. Like, you just, listen, politics only come around 4 years, man. Thank God of it.
Right.
We don't need no politician in the locker room. I wouldn't follow you in the lunch line if I was starving.
Every team has them though, man.
I know it.
It's like, you just be like, come on, dude, really, like, again.
And then they just be rehearsed. Like, nah, bro, you gotta speak to me from your heart.
Yeah.
So my leadership style was understanding and knowing the player to where I know you good enough to where, okay, if you have a bad game, everybody is entitled to that. And you can. But now I'm gonna figure out, okay, all right, 1. Now if it starts to come in again, 2, now I'm gonna come and talk to you.
Yeah.
That's always been my approach. I never want to ridicule anybody, not in public, because that ain't what you do. I got a long list of, like, I can truly say, like, good people who, like, friends, like, just because of the way that I treated them and the way that I came at them. Now, if it starts to be a consistent problem and you don't step your game up, after I've spoken to you and I see you doing otherwise outside on the field, now we got a problem. You affected my money.
Yeah.
And you affected my time, because we already know the average lifespan of an NFL player, maybe 3.5 years. Man, we ain't got much time. I'm trying to get as much money as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And championships too. So now, if that doesn't get your attention now, I'll call you out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, man, there you go. You over there talking that shit. When you won't make a play?
Right.
And that's all you got to say. Because now everybody else is on, I got gas.
Right.
Tutan, Petty too.
I'm on them.
You know what I mean? So that ridicule is enough to be able to get people going. And that was my method. Yeah. I'm always going to talk to you. Because one of the things that I've always learned, and I learned this from the great Dick LeBeau, as much time as we spend with teammates and players, colleagues, as much time as we spend with them, at the end of the day, they go home and they got a life too. And you never do know what a man/woman is going through. So respect that before you come out and criticize someone or critique them in the beginning. And that's why it's so important for me. I was like, let me establish relationships so I have an idea. And that was my form of leadership, of how I lead and what my expectations are from somebody who's playing.
And I can respect that. And there's so many people that do attempt to, we call it forced chatter. You know what I mean? They are the rah-rah guys before the game. Like, you know, in the pregame, everybody comes together and, you know, you get the motivation. You see Jameis Winston doing it now. Motivated.
I love James Winston. The TVs cannot wait until he's done.
Yes.
I just want to tune in for a soundbite.
And that's the thing. So at the beginning of the game, the cameras is always there. So I remember we playing and the cameras is always in the huddle to see what the leader is going to say to the group before you go out and if that translates to the field. So it's cool. And I'm not saying them names and nothing like that, but there's times, man, cats be talking and, you know what I mean? They give the passionate speeches and then it don't reflect on the field. You just like, what happened to all of that? Hit him in the mouth. Hit a bitch before a bitch hit you. You know, you taking food off my plate. What happened to all of that? It's forced chatter. So when you talk about leadership, it has to go. You have to back up what you talking. And for me, like I said, I was more so by example. I'm gonna show you what I could do. If I don't do it, absolutely criticize me. Like, yo, bro, you effing up or whatever. Or you got to tighten up, whatever that might look like.
But what is that balance though?
The balance is, I think.
What is the balance in between leadership and the vocal part?
Knowing your audience, right? And honestly being true with yourself. Don't nobody like the truth. So you can't be that dude out there with the forced chatter thinking you talking all this stuff and you know you can't perform or you know you're not performing. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing it in the huddle this week and you stinking it up, you know, you might get a pass this week. Bad game. Like you say, everybody has a bad game. You do it 2 weeks in a row, now be like, yo, hold on, champ. 3 weeks in a row, like, yo, not again. So sometimes you just be sitting in the huddle like, let's break this shit down so we can get on the field and get to work right now.
I know it, right?
On 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, that forced chatter, it ain't it. And one of the leaders that I remember, and he's younger than me, played my senior year at Ole Miss was his freshman year. My last year in the league, I had a small stint, like you often say, brief cup of coffee with the New York Giants, and he was the quarterback, Eli Manning. So I remember him from college as a kid that was talented, you know what I'm saying, doing this thing. Obviously, his accolades speak for itself. And then when I got to the Giants and I seen him, and I'm in the huddle, matter of fact, before the huddle, the team meetings where you're going through the offense, the walkthroughs, breaking it down, and he's letting everybody know what to do. And in my mind, I'm like, he's not a rah-rah guy. He leads by example. He's real stoic, real poised, real even keel, you know what I'm saying? And that might not hype up everybody.
Right.
But if you perform on the field, you're like, all right, cool. So you're not going to get hyped in the talk. Like the other player that everybody got hyped and then laid a dud, you know what I'm saying? Couldn't bust a grape over there pooting and giggling. Nah. Now you go to Eli, the whole total different. He just real calm, real stoic. But on the field, he go out there and do his thing. Put you in the right position to win, makes the right checks, the right call, barely messed up. You know what I'm saying? If he made that check and the offense ran the play right, it was guaranteed to be a first down, an explosive, a good play, whatever that might look like. So to me, leading by example was better for me than just listening to the rah-rah guys. Cause it's like, man, I don't really rock with you like that, bro. You ain't doing, you're not practicing what you're preaching, bro. So I couldn't do the rock. Not saying with you, cause you was obviously, we was teammates. You did your thing, but there's a lot of forced chatter out there, man. So you gotta beware of the forced chatter.
I used to hate the guys who were like, come out there and talk big like Tarzan. But when you turn the film on, they playing like James.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not to offend any ladies out here playing flag football. But what it is talking about we're playing a physical sport of like the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, man, don't come out here and Tom wrestle me to death. I need to see something.
Yeah, facts, man.
I've been blessed. The thing that I can appreciate, bro, is I've been blessed to be around a lot of great leaders. You know, especially one of the most enlightening things was to be able to make the Pro Bowls, the all-pro teams. And when you meet up with each other in Hawaii back then, when the Pro Bowl was there, you know, you had a chance to pick some of the greatest minds, you know, and, you know, I think about having conversations with Peyton Manning, sitting at the bar, you know, uninterrupted, talking about the process. How did you know I was blitzing? Well, your safety wasn't so damn heavy-footed coming down trying to replace if he would have sat back. Oh, okay. So you a detail guy. And that's what I found. Every dude who had major success in the league, they was all about the details. All about the details. I remember sitting in the steam room, in the sauna, with Ray Lewis. You know what I mean? And so we just talking, going back and forth. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's all about the details, bro. If you really want to change the trajectory of where you at, not just in life, in the business field, also applicable for all the guys who are actually playing sport, man, what they say, the devil is in the detail.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, man. Like that's how you separate yourself.
So looking back, who was the greatest leader that you had on the field, player-wise, as well as coach-wise, and how did they impact you and your leadership style?
That's a tough one. I've had a lot of great people, coaches, players. I'll pick out from a player perspective. This one person stood out to me, and it wasn't so much because of the game. I got to give a lot of credit to London Fletcher. Linebacker, Super Bowl winning linebacker. We met together when I went to Buffalo after he left St. Louis and won a championship ring with the Rams. I remember when I first met Fletch, I told him, I didn't like you, dog. I don't like you.
Yeah, Fletch.
He'll tell you. I was like, you a prick, man. I used to look at you on, I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like he was just nasty.
Right.
And it took maybe like a week, probably 2 weeks. And I was like, man, this dude here is like, I love him. He's the guy you would love to have as a teammate, but you would hate him as the opposition. The reason why I had a lot of respect for him, I wasn't a detail-oriented guy, but he was one of the first guys who I saw had the same type of work ethic. I wouldn't say same, but it was just, we matched each other's energy. He was very consistent. We all know that as him being coined as the Iron Man. Never missed a game, never missed a start throughout his 16-year career. And like, that's impressive, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I started in over 200, I think I played in 219 games. Like, God dang. Bro, that's amazing. One of the things that he brought to the table was, for me, I call it plug and play. Other teams that I've been on, you assume a lot of, you accept a lot of the responsibility getting other people lined up, making the checks once you get motion. For him, it was like, I got this, you just play. What? You mean I'll spike the tackle. Just know that's your B gap. You ain't got to say nothing. What? All right. I can sit back and be in my own world and just let my instincts take over. And so that was the biggest thing about Fletch, that it was the biggest thing about him that I really appreciated, because he was an extension of a defensive coordinator on the field. And he allowed everybody to be able to play. And he used to take pride in it early in the week. He'll come up with, okay, now what if they do this, because I don't see this gap taken care of? And I used to be like, come on, man. They ain't gonna do that. And them fuckers used to do it. They used to do it. And so he had the foresight to see it, and I had an opportunity to learn from it. We both came in the same year, in 98, with each other. So for me, it was like, okay, this is the same dude who I really didn't care for. I thought he was a prick. But now I'm like, I rocks with you, London Fletcher.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, bro, is his faith. I know Fletch obviously on a different level than anybody else would know him from. The time that we spent together, being a born-again Christian, knowing that was always his calling, but he always denied it. And for him to accept Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and to see where his game and his game took off from that standpoint, but to see his manhood, who he was and who he was at the moment as a man, how he really took off, and he wasn't gonna compromise it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of respect for that, and a lot of people don't know his resilience.
Yeah.
He lost his mom and dad while playing in the NFL. He's been through a lot of adversity.
Yeah.
To lose both parents while you're playing, and then have aspirations of, I want to create my own family and I want to do it the way that I want to do it, and I'm not gonna compromise it. And he did it, you know. And to still see him leading, has a beautiful family. God bless her soul. His wife recently passed away, Charnay. So, but for him to still keep going and inspiring not just people in the locker room, but the everyday person who comes across his presence, I have a lot of respect for him, bro.
Right.
A lot of respect. So when you talk about like leadership, it ain't just about meeting a goal from Q1 to Q3 or to Q4. It's the totality of a person. And if it was one person who I want to shout out, it's London Fletcher.
Facts. Salute, bro.
Shout out to Fletch, man.
Most def.
Here's the leadership.
There it is.
Behind the mask.